Taurus, welcome to your monthly horoscope for February 2024. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this horoscope, I will be walking you through each week of February, giving you a really good understanding of the energies that you will be navigating for the month ahead. So let's get right into it. Now, I just want to start by mentioning that coming into February, we have all planets direct. So it is a go time. It is time to start building and creating. We have so much supportive energy right now to start building something that can really truly be, very long lasting and sustainable, not just for 2024, but beyond, maybe a business or a relationship, however that looks like for you. Now, coming into the month on the 1st, we have Mercury forming a sextile to Neptune. And I really love this because Mercury ruling our mind and mindset communication. At this point, Mercury will still be in Capricorn, which is keeping us kind of grounded with the Neptune element, where Neptune can sometimes become very where we can over idealize or romanticize situations. The fact that Mercury is still in Capricorn, it's really keeping us grounded. So we're actually able to use our creativity and imagination and put it on paper where our head is not too much in the clouds. Now, we also have Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto re-entered Aquarius January 20th with the sun. We had that dynamic Sun-Pluto conjunction at 29 degrees of Capricorn, 59 minutes. So whatever Pluto has transformed in this area of life, which is your ninth house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, philosophy, belief systems, there really truly is something completing with that conjunction, and possibly even too some type of revelations, like maybe having that understanding of how Pluto has transformed your beliefs, over the last 15 years. Now, the Sun and Pluto also formed a conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which then marks, and this 0 degree of Aquarius is quite active. And this is in your 10th house of career and public reputation. So there's major beginnings showing up for you around career and what you are going to be known for out in the world with this, activation of the 0 degree. The 0 degree point indicates beginnings, major beginnings, and the 29th degree signifies endings and completions. So while we are completing the Capricorn area of our lives, and for you, that ninth house, we are beginning something transformational in your 10th house, in the Aquarius areas of our life. Now, when Mercury enters Aquarius on the 5th, Mercury is going to form a conjunction to Pluto. We're going to have all of these personal planets here in Capricorn enter Aquarius throughout February and form a conjunction to Pluto, activating that 0 degree point. Now, Mercury rules your second house of money and finances and material possessions, and also your 5th house of creativity and children and hobbies, interests, what you do for fun, romance as well. So there might be, some shift in mindset around these areas of life. There can be information or some type of message coming in that has to do with these areas of life, like maybe around money or finances. And because it's your second house and happening in your 10th house, I mean, this could be something within a job or career, and money that is really showing up for you the month of February. Now, at the same time, when we have the Mercury Pluto conjunction on that same day, we also have Venus forming a square to Chiron. And Venus is your chart ruler. Now, Chiron represents our wounds and vulnerabilities. Chiron is currently in your 12th house in Aries with that North Node, which the North Node and Chiron are going to form a conjunction, be in a conjunction actually for 2 weeks throughout the month of February. Now, having the nodes in your 12th and your 6th house, the North Node is in your 12th in Aries. The 12th house represents a spirituality, places that are hidden, like hospitals, asylums, retreat centers, also self-undoing and self-sabotaging. And having that North Node transiting your 12th can really be having you become aware of your self-undoing and self-sabotaging behaviors. And that South Node in the sixth is the South Node can represent a releasing and letting go, or, something coming back from the past. And the sixth house represents your work, health, and daily routine. So you have quite a lot going on this year around work and career and routines. There's going to be a lot of shifts and changes in these areas of life because the nodes represent where we're having the eclipses, which we'll talk about at a later date. I'm not going to get to that in February forecast. But this area of life is going to be going through a lot of changes, maybe changing your health routine or nutrition habits in some way. But when Venus forms a square to Chiron, Venus being your chart ruler, there can be something truly activated and triggered at this time around some old hurt or vulnerability. And because it's even in your 12th house, and there's a lot kind of showing up this year around, either isolation or self-undoing, there could be, something triggered here where you become aware of, how you can self-sabotage or possibly get in your own way when it has to do with success or maybe even relationships and love. Venus being your chart ruler, which is you. Venus really represents you in the birth chart. It could be where maybe you are realizing that how you get in your own way on your own path on your own journey. Now, we also have this ongoing sextile between Saturn and Jupiter being in your first house, which Jupiter has been in Taurus since May of 2023 and will remain in Taurus until May 25th of 2024. So Jupiter is also here in the first house, kind of transforming you in some way. Jupiter rules luck, abundance, optimism. So Jupiter may be bringing, more optimism to the table. Maybe feeling a little extra optimistic, but sometimes with Jupiter in the first house, because Jupiter also can rule, overindulgence. Sometimes people struggle with Jupiter in the first house being like too lazy, having a hard time, getting motivated. It really can be a mixed bag. Now, having this sextile between Saturn and Jupiter is showing this real supportive energy for opportunity for some type of growth here, whether it's it could have to do with friends because you have Pisces in the 11th house of friends and friendships, networking. But I feel like it really has to do with your path. There's a lot changing this year for you when it has to do with the path that you're on. I hope that makes sense to you, but that's even what I'm feeling intuitively. Now, on the 6th, we have Venus forming a T square to the nodes. And whenever we have a T square to the nodes, this is where tension arises when it has to do with, life direction. There's a choice almost that needs to be made here. There can be, something where you're holding on to something from the past, and wanting to move forward into something new at the same time, and something has to give. And again, Venus being your chart ruler, which Venus is extra significant for you, there can be, tension around the 6th of you having to make a choice with something. Maybe even, again, that self-sabotaging tendencies coming up and behaviors. Now, on the 7th, and I even just felt too intuitively, like maybe this is where you realize, like, okay, I really need to change my daily routine in order to get out of this isolation or in order to get out of this self-undoing behavior. So it could definitely show up in that way. Now, on the 7th, we have Venus forming a trine to Uranus. So this is really beautiful. Uranus is in your first house. This is an energy that you've been navigating since 2018. But with Venus forming a trine to Uranus, again, Venus being your chart ruler, like that first week Venus is very active. So there can be a lot going on for you the first week of February. But with that trine to Uranus, this can be something very unexpected, almost like a beautiful surprise, very out of the blue. And so that's quite nice. Now, at this point, Venus still being in Capricorn, this could have to do with, maybe traveling, long distance travel or something around belief systems or philosophy. Now, in the 8th house, in the 8th house, on February 8th, the sun is going to square Uranus Now, Uranus rules the electrical systems in our body. And a lot of times I feel like when we have, the sun literally ruling our consciousness, sometimes I feel like when we have the sun square Uranus, this can be a day where we're just energetically up and down. Like one minute we're vibing high, the next minute we feel depleted. This very much can be February 8th. However, I mean, it is a square. This can be intuitive downloads. So definitely be mindful of that. But because it's a square, it can be a block or a hold. I mean, this could even be a day where you're just having a harder time connecting to, the energies around you. Now, on the 9th, we have our new moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus. Now, this is our first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto. So this one's extra significant. Pluto has actually been involved in the last couple of lunations, even the full moon that we had in Leo. Leo being opposite Aquarius, we had that full moon in Leo with Pluto in Aquarius. And then the new moon we had in Capricorn, that was our last new moon in Capricorn with Pluto. So Pluto's been quite a key player in the last couple of lunations. But with this new moon in Aquarius, I mean, squaring, I always look at new moon charts as imprints and kind of showing us how the manifestations and the intentions that we set at the time of the new moon are going to come to fruition. So the fact that that new moon is squaring Uranus shows there's going to be a lot of very unexpected surprises with the intentions that you set. So with any intentions you're setting at the time of this new moon, just be aware that how you think it's going to manifest or how you think it's going to play out, it's not. It's going to be completely out of the blue, unexpected. Now, I always post new moon and full moon forecasts, so I won't stay too long. I'm not going to touch on this too much. But every new moon and full moon, I post forecasts going into the chart and also into all 12 rising signs. So make sure you check that out. Now, on February 10th, we have Mercury forming a square to Jupiter. So Mercury is in Aquarius. Mercury in Aquarius is, full of ideas, full of inventions. We're wanting to socialize. It's a very kind of inventive energy, especially Mercury ruling our mind and mindset thinking. There's a lot going on here, but with this square to Jupiter, it can be like too much where you're not able to focus. This can very much be an energy of like really wanting to create. You have all of these ideas, but they're just coming and you're not able to kind of pinpoint one or focus on one. Now, on the 11th is when we start that North Node Chiron conjunction. This is when that 2-week transit begins. Now, this is really significant. Now, Aries, rules the self for everyone, just generally speaking. Aries rules the self. So, like, collectively, we're kind of all moving through this energy of discovering, who we are on a soul level and, who we are, what we are, where we're from. There's so much more to us than what we've ever been told. And I feel like, February really is the month of information and messages. And there can be a lot actually showing up the month of February, especially because of that Pluto in Aquarius, which really does mark, the beginning of humanity changing, because that's, Aquarius rules the collective, humanity, society, and all of these activations of the 0 degree, which I'll talk about in the collective monthly forecast, but really does mark, the beginning of humanity changing quite significantly. And there's some healing taking place as a whole, as a collective, as humanity. Now, individually, this again, whatever was triggered with that T squared of Venus, there can be some type of healing taking place, or at least starting to become aware of what needs to be healed within. Now, the second week of February, right on the 13th, we have Mars entering Aquarius. Now, this can become a very volatile, right? Like Mars can bring anger, aggression, conflict. Mars can also sever and separate. And this is in your 10th house of career and public reputation. So there could definitely be something showing up around your career at this time. I wouldn't really recommend making like any sudden moves or And also too, because the 10th house rules like your public reputation, like maybe even being careful about online things, because it could just be a day where there's not a lot of supportive energy. People could just come for you. So I even felt that intuitively. So this is just a day to be mindful. Now, Mars rules your 12th house and your 7th house, and Pluto also rules your 7th house. So both of the rulers of your 7th house are forming this conjunction in Aquarius. So there could be, something around relationships and one-on-one connections showing up for you around the middle of February. And this is, Valentine's Day. So there could be something, around a relationship that you're having to navigate. Now, at the same time, we have the Mars Pluto conjunction. We also have Venus forming a sextile to Neptune. Before Venus enters Aquarius. So again, I love this for creativity, romantic connections. This is your chart ruler, and the fact that Venus is in Capricorn, we're able to kind of be responsible around it. We're not having our head in the clouds. So this is really great for creativity and romance. Now, on the 14th, we have that sextile between Jupiter and Saturn come exact. And again, this is an energy that we've been in and still in, that we want to be utilizing for creating and building something truly sustainable, manifesting, bringing, the energetics into physical reality. On the 16th, we will have Venus enter Aquarius and form in conjunction to Pluto. So this is going to be extra significant for you because Venus is your chart ruler. And it's really going to depend on was something triggered and activated with that Mars conjunction of Pluto, because this could be more to that story. Venus is your chart ruler, Mars is your partner's chart ruler, and all those one-on-one connections. So, if something was triggered and activated with this conjunction, this could definitely be more to that story. Now, Pluto also does rule, power, control, transformation. So, we're really looking at all of those themes and topics with these conjunctions to Pluto. Now, where are we? Sorry, on that same day, we also have Mars forming a square to Uranus. So Mars is going to be, in Aquarius in your 10th house, forming a square to Uranus. So this could be a day where we're extra, there could be, anxiety. We do want to watch for that. There could be something very unexpected showing on within your job, at your career, because of that 10th house. This could be something very unexpected within your finances, because Mercury rules your second house of money, finances, and material possessions that you're having to navigate. It is a square, so it could be a block, a hold, or a delay, with something. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, absolutely horrible, but maybe you're trying to move forward with something here, financially, and it's not a go for this day. Now, on the 18th, we will have the sun enter Pisces. And we also want to keep in mind that now we have Saturn in Pisces. So last Pisces season, we did not have Saturn in Pisces. So through Aquarius season and Pisces season, these energies feel significantly different than last year and the previous years, because Saturn hasn't been in Pisces for about 30 years, and we've never experienced Pluto in Aquarius. So these these few months are going to feel different. But we do want to pay attention throughout the month of February, especially with all the conjunctions to Pluto, because this is where we're really going to get a feel for how the Pluto and Aquarius energy is going to show up for all of us, collectively and individually. So February is a really big month. Now, with the sun entering your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, online connections, it's where you're feeling sociable, maybe wanting to, form more connections. But we do have Saturn there, which can be a little bit restrictive, can bring delays and hardship, which you could be, going through a lot with friends over the next couple of years, having Saturn in that 11th house. Now we get to the third week of February, and on the 20th, we have Venus. So there's like 3 days here I put Venus conjunct Mars, because they do a dance, right? Like I believe they initially connect at 5 degrees, 6 degrees, and 7 degrees. So from like the 20th to the 22nd, they're doing this dance, kind of traveling together. This is great for connections. I mean, Mars literally ruling your 7th house, Venus ruling your first. There can definitely be a lot with relationships, forming kind of passionate connections. This could also have to do with career, those one-on-one connections within your career because it is in your 10th house. Venus, yeah, I mean, this is really kind of sociable energy. I love Venus Mars conjunctions. Now I'll be talking about this in the collective forecast for the month because Venus and Mars and Aquarius just screams to me of like people coming together almost, the masculine and feminine kind of rising up and coming together in Aquarius, which is like literally humanity, society, the collective. So I think like we will see maybe a lot of protests and stuff like that throughout the month of February. But for you, I mean, it really has to do with you and partnerships. There could be a lot going on, with this conjunction. Now, on the 22nd is when that conjunction comes exact. So, whatever is kind of building up from the 20th on, this is when it kind of comes to a head. Now, on the 23rd, we have Mercury entering Pisces. So, we end up having, a lot of this energy in your 10th shift to your 11th. So, maybe you're focusing more on friendships or building some type of online business. And that is actually something you could do with Saturn in the 11th house is you have the supportive energy right now to build some type of online, business that could be truly, sustainable and long lasting. But there could be, a lot of focus on friends and socializing, online connections. Then on the 24th, we have the full moon in Virgo at 5 degrees and also have Venus squaring Jupiter. So the full moon in Virgo is in your 5th house of children and creativity, hobbies, interests, romance. So if you think back 6 months prior, what were the intentions you were setting with the new moon in Virgo? Now is when you can see those intentions come to fruition. And again, I'll be posting a forecast going into this energy. So make sure you check that out. Now, but we also do actually too want to keep in mind that with this full moon in Virgo, again, we have that opposing Saturn. So I'll be talking about that in the full moon forecast, but that's going to feel, a lot different because Saturn was not there last year with the full moon in Virgo. So there could be, something showing up that requires balance or possibly restriction or delays, but the oppositions usually show that there is, balance required because it's Saturn having to do with accountability and responsibility and commitment. There might be something along that. I'd have to look at the chart. So I will be talking a lot about that in the full moon video, but I did just want to mention that it will be, opposing Saturn and Pisces. Now with Venus squaring Jupiter, again, Venus being your chart ruler, this can be feelings of defeat with a Venus square to Jupiter, especially, being your chart ruler. So something may be going on where you don't have a lot of optimism. This is where something also too could be showing on around like believing in yourself, holding that self-worth, having Jupiter in the first and, Venus generally ruling our self-love and worth and confidence, something may be showing up at this time where you're having to ask yourself or something could be triggered where, you may have to ask yourself, like, am I believing in myself? Am I believing in the process? If this isn't working out, is it because I'm not believing in myself? Is it because of my lack of self-confidence and worth? And so this might be, a difficult day, but I do need to do some self-reflection. I look at squares as they can bring, difficult energy, but it's room for personal growth. That's how we grow is through the difficult energies. Then our final week of February, on the 26th, we will have Mars squaring Jupiter. And this is a really big transit. Mars being in Aquarius, this is where I think we'll see a lot kind of collectively. And I'm going to talk about this in my monthly collective forecast. But for you, Mars ruling that 12th house and 7th, I mean, again, it could be, wanting to kind of come away from the world. It could, wanting to be isolated or move into kind of isolation. And so this is where, something really can show up around, feeling defeated. And so, taking care of your body at this time is going to be significantly important. This could also have to do with a relationship because Mars being the co-ruler of the 7th. But this is a time where we do want to be watching for, just isolating too much, self-undoing behaviors and stuff like that. Now on the 27th, we will have Mercury. Um, Again, also too, this could have to do with career, something showing up around career that was unexpected, like unexpectedly being like overwhelmed actually could be a thing here too, like being very overwhelmed at work or feeling very overwhelmed just in general. That can be another, energy with that Mars square to Jupiter. And then on the 27th, Mercury is going to conjunct the sun, and the sun's going to conjunct Saturn. So we actually have the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Cazimi, which is very significant. Now, I mean, collectively, I think there's going to be huge information and messages coming out at this time. For you, though, it is in your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, online connections. So we do want to be mindful of um that at this time, maybe posting online, stuff like that. But like, Mercury Cazimis are a time of insight, ideas, inspiration. But with Saturn, it's like being able to being able to take that inspiration and bring it into the physical and build something, create something with that. This could also bring delays, right? Saturn brings delays. So it can be something really beautiful. But it's going to take time. Saturn requires time, hard work, dedication. So it's interesting. I mean, this could also show up as something, with a friend that you're having to navigate because of that 11th house. This could be something around money and finances. Like maybe you have an opportunity to make more money, but it's going to require, hard work and dedication. It could definitely, show up in that way. Now, on the 28th, we're going to have Mercury, Sun, Saturn. Oh, I already, it's kind of like the same thing from the 27th to the 28th. This, the 28th is when they all kind of get to 9 degrees. So I wanted to mention that. But on the 29th, we'll have Mercury forming a sextile to Jupiter and then the Sun forming a sextile to Jupiter. So this is where we have almost like this beautiful inspiration coming in, all these ideas, creative energy, wanting to expand on that, implement that. So there's a lot of opportunity coming, come the end of the month to grow and expand on something, maybe the insight that you get with the conjunction here, you want to run with that. And with Saturn, again, we really have this beautiful supportive energy to start building and creating something, long lasting and sustainable. So, Taurus, I really hope that this helps you navigate the energies for February. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and align with my energy, and I will connect with you in the next video.